When I first moved into apartment 3B, I thought I had stumbled onto the deal of a lifetime. It was in a decent part of the city, close to my new job, with rent that seemed too good to be true. The building itself was old, cracked walls, faded carpets, an elevator that groaned every time it moved. But I didn't care. I was 26, living alone for the first time, and I was proud of that little space. It felt like freedom, at least for the first few days. The first time I heard the crying, I thought it was a neighbor. It was a soft, distant sound, like someone quietly weeping into a pillow. I was unpacking boxes around midnight when it started, coming from the wall behind my bed. I paused and listened, but when I turned off the fan, it was gone. I shrugged it off, blaming the building's thin walls. But the next night, it happened again. Same hour, same place. The sound of a woman sobbing quietly, just beyond the wall. It lasted for about 10 minutes before fading into silence. I mentioned it to the old man across the hall when we ran into each other by the mailboxes. He gave me a strange look and muttered, "You live in 3B, right?" When I nodded, he just said, "Keep your radio on at night," and left without explaining. That was the first time I felt uneasy about the place. A few nights later, I met the woman from 3A, my next-door neighbor. She was pale, thin, with long black hair that looked like it hadn't been brushed in days. She was standing in the hallway, staring at my door when I came home from work. I smiled and said hello. She didn't smile back. Instead, she said in a low voice, "You hear her, don't you?" I froze, not sure what she meant. Before I could ask, she turned and disappeared into her apartment, slamming the door shut. That night, I couldn't sleep. The crying was louder than ever. It didn't sound like it was coming through the wall anymore. It sounded like it was inside the room, like someone was sitting in the corner, crying into their hands. I turned on the light, checked every corner, even opened the closet. Nothing. I left the light on all night and sat awake, listening to that faint, miserable sound until morning. The next day I went to the building manager. He was an older man with a heavy sigh that seemed permanent. When I told him about the noises, his expression darkened. "Apartment 3B, huh?" he asked, rubbing the bridge of his nose. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. There was a woman who lived there last winter, alone. She went missing in December. They found her a month later. I asked where they found her, and he hesitated before answering. Inside the wall. Maintenance workers were fixing the heating and found her body wedged between the studs behind the bedroom. They think she got trapped trying to crawl through from another apartment. I didn't know what to say. My mouth went dry. That night, I tried not to think about it, but when I lay down, I couldn't help but glance at that same wall. The paint looked newer there, like it had been recently patched. Around 2 a.m., the crying came again, louder than ever. It was desperate this time, broken by gasps and whispers I couldn't make out. Then came 3 slow knocks on the wall. I froze, heart hammering in my chest. I wanted to move, to run, but my body wouldn't respond. Then a whisper came through, clear and trembling. "Please, help me." I shot out of bed and ran to the living room, turned on every light, and called the police. They came, searched the place, and told me there was no one in the walls, no sign of entry, no evidence of anything unusual. One officer suggested it might be the old plumbing. "These pipes make weird sounds at night," he said, but there were no water lines behind that wall. I checked the building layout myself later. I moved out 2 days later. I didn't even take everything with me. I left furniture, dishes, curtains, everything. I just wanted out. A week after I left, I stopped by to grab a package that had been delivered by mistake. The new tenant, a college student, had already moved in. He was cheerful, said he loved the place, but mentioned something that chilled me to the core. He laughed and said, "It's perfect, except for that weird crying sound at night." The manager said, "It's just the old pipes." I nodded, forcing a smile, but I knew better. Because some nights, even now, in my new apartment miles away, I still wake up around midnight. I swear I can hear it faintly. A woman's quiet sobs, somewhere behind the wall, still waiting for someone to help her.